The here we go for Brian Mbeumo seems inevitable. And that's why today we will be talking about his plans at Manchester United and his future plans under Ruben Amorim, and address a certain concern that I've seen more and more with this piece of business. So without further ado, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new video here on the Scotty Gamer channel. And as I mentioned just now, we will be talking about the Brian Mbeumo news. Okay, Brian Mbeumo news, Brian Mbeumo potential. Here we go this week after Man United will be returning for pre-season. And I will address a certain concern later on in the video. However, before we do all that, right? Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn those post notifications on, right? So, the thing I want to start with is a certain tweet by Fabrizio Romano, plus he said it on his YouTube channel as well. Don't quote me on this, but this is what he said. Manchester United are in the hunt for two number 10s, for two players behind the striker, right? We've got one in, right? We've got one in, we've got Cunha in, right? Which is absolutely incredible business in my opinion. Absolutely amazing business. And, we've got Bruno, right? But if you remember approximately a month ago, there were the links of him moving to Saudi, right? And that's why I think United's original plan was to go for two number 10s, because the owners were calculating the loss of Bruno Fernandes. However, after him rejecting Saudi Arabia for Manchester United, you would theoretically have your two 10s sorted, right? Theoretically have your two 10s sorted. But, however, to this day, we're still going after Brian Mbeumo, which I think is a great thing. Not just because of his goal-scoring prowess, but also because of his versatility. And that is the most important thing, the versatility. Now, to see how he will be included in this Man United team, we need to look at the way he operates, right? Now, at Man United, he was actually planned to be a number 10. Like, a pure number 10, like, staying in the middle, bish, bash, bosh. However, this is where the concern started. Because, with, Mbeumo coming in, people are saying that, Bruno will play in the 8 with Ugarte. Oh, I'm not trusting his midfield pivot. Oh, he hasn't got the physical attributes. Okay? That is total nonsense. Absolute total nonsense. And, the reason why I'm saying that is, again, his versatility. Brian Mbeumo's versatility. Now, back to what I was actually saying, right? To look at the way how he will be included in this Man United team, we need to look at the way this man operates. Okay? We need to look at the way this man operates. He is a number 10 who likes to, switch, not switch out wide, but like drift out wide to the wing, okay? He's a number 10 who likes to drift out wide to the wing. Yeah. So, and back again, okay? So that's what he likes to do. Drift out wide, back again. Wherever he's needed. And that, for me, is the perfect player. And this is why, as a United fan, I'm pleased about this piece of business, right? So, I'm going to explain to you and break down to you why you should have no concerns about Bruno Fernandes playing in the 8, right? So, this is what I'm thinking, right? This is what's going through my mind right now. This, for me, would be the best Man United team on paper for next season. In goal, Onana. 3 back, Leacher in the centre back, hopefully, if he makes his comeback relatively soon. De Ligt and Mazraoui, right? Wing backs, Dorgu, maybe Dallo, it depends. And then the midfield is where it gets interesting, right? As I say, this is only on paper, right? Midfield pivot would be Ugarte, who for me is a very underrated player. Plus another good ball carrying midfielder who I cannot name at this moment in time. It depends who we sign. And this is where, further up, this is where it gets interesting. Double 10, Bruno and Cunha. And then up front, at this moment in time, without any signings in the attack, would be Amad Diallo on the left, Xerxes in the middle, and Brian and Mbeumo on the right. With the option of switching the wingers around. In other words, Brian playing on the left one game, Amad playing on the right, and the other way around, okay? But you've got to, you can't forget, this is only on paper. You need to be able to make tactical switches in the game, okay? And this is what I think is so interesting, right? If we look at Cunha, Bruno, and Mbeumo, right? They all do the same thing. They have one thing in common, right? And that's why I'm saying they do the same thing. Cunha is a 10 who likes to drift out wide. Bruno isn't usually. However, under Ruben Amorim, he has learned to adapt to this system, and now he is a player who drifts out wide as well. Like, I'm not sure how much he likes it. I don't know if it's his comfort or not. However, he does do it. Okay. And they switch back again. Cunha switches from wide to 10, from 10 to wide, so on and so on. And Mbeumo does the same, and Bruno does the same, even though he's more of the central guy. And this, for me, is very interesting. Because if we've got an attack, right? It's the ball's in midfield, right? And then, what if Cunha, decides to drift out wide, right? Drift out wide. You're thinking to yourself, oh, the midfield's going to be exposed. It's not. Because that is where Brian Mbeumo comes in. That is where Brian Mbeumo comes in, because that means that he'll be able to switch back inside from the wing position, what it actually is on paper, to the 10, which is his apparent best position. Okay? So, and the same with Bruno Fernandes. If Bruno Fernandes decides to switch out wide, there will be room for Brian Mbeumo to move, to switch into that space that Bruno left, right? What I'm saying is, I think there's going to be a constant switcheroo between these three players, right? You might have Bruno out wide at one point and Cunha and Mbeumo double 10. You might have Cunha out wide and then Bruno and Mbeumo double 10. Okay? And the thing is, the wing is not getting exposed either, because we've still got Amad Diallo there. We would still have Amad Diallo there. So there would not be any exposure, and we will be able to get the best out of every out of the attacking options, the attacking midfielders that we have. And that's why I'm saying there will be a constant switcheroo in the middle of the park. Also, I'll give you a reason, right? Because I actually back myself on these statements. The reason being that Ruben Amorim has apparently begged Bruno Fernandes to stay when he had his links to Saudi. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Ruben Amorim and have got a player of Bruno Fernandes' quality, right, I'm not going to beg him to stay if I don't have a tactical plan for him, okay? And I think Amorim has the brains to realise, wait a minute, I'm not going to take him out over his best position. He scored 35 goals and assists. He had 35 GA in 40 plus games. So what we're going to do? We're going to switch Cunha out wide and Mbeumo out wide, right? And switch them back and forth, right? Something that they have already done in their previous clubs. So it's nothing to do with Ruben Amorim's system, okay? And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly why I back my opinion. And that's exactly why I think, if executed correctly, Manchester United will cook this season. And Bruno Fernandes will stay in the number 10 position. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn those post notifications on so you don't miss any future videos of myself, okay? And write in the comments down below what football topics you'd like me to discuss next. Thanks for watching. It's Scotty out. Peace.